what are we talking about today? You know, there has been an uptake in documentaries regarding the FLDS. Two Keep Sweet documentaries, one on Discovery Plus, one on Netflix. It really seems like Mormon fundamentalism more than ever is a hot topic. We have the show Under the Banner of Heaven, which was a remake of a book. And the more that I watch these documentaries, and the more I watch Sister Wives, the more I notice similarities between Kody Brown and some of these Mormon fundamental leaders, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. And like I've said in most of my videos that I've made on the Sister Wives or fundamentalism, I am not a polygamy expert, just a reality TV show watcher. So I do my little side googling when I want to learn more about something, and then I'm like, oh my God, then I end up going down a rabbit hole, which leads us to the Bless This Mess crew. Typically, when I would think of Mormon fundamentalism, I think of the prairie dresses, the braids, I think of Warren Jeffs. I was in college in 2008 when the big raid happened and Warren Jeffs was arrested. I remember when he was on the America's 10 Most Wanted alongside Osama bin Laden. Like, this guy was bad fucking news. And when he was arrested, people rejoiced. But actually, while the FLDS might be the most notorious of the Mormon fundamental sects, they are by no means the only one. There are many Mormon fundamental factions. If you go to Mormon fundamentalism on Wikipedia, I think there's like 11 different sects mentioned on that website. So there's a bunch. Now, the two most popular would be the FLDS and the AUB, which was founded by Christine Brown's grandfather, which was the faction that Kody Brown subscribed to. And watching shows like Under the Banner of Heaven and watching documentaries like Keep Sweet and the show Escaping Polygamy, and from just the research that I've done online, what it comes down to from what I can deduce is that in 1890, when Utah was vying for statehood, the condition that it came down to was, hey, Mormons, we don't like polygamy. You're not going to become a state if you guys practice polygamy. The Mormon Church did away with polygamy. They outlawed it. And there were members of the LDS Church that said, hey, wait a second, we still believe the original teachings of Joseph Smith, and they wanted to live what they viewed as the principle. Do you guys notice how we have the same last names come up, like Jessup, LeBaron, Allred, Jeffs? It goes all the way to the top. The bloodlines are strong, and they go all the way back to the start. And the bloodlines cross over into the different sects. So in watching the documentary, the Netflix documentary, Keep Sweet, I was reminded of a video that I had made where I was saying how Kody fleeing Utah, in season 2, where the Brown family are found out and they have to flee Utah in the dead of night, how that was all pretty much bullshit, that the Browns were never in any real jeopardy of being prosecuted for polygamy. And this was confirmed in this documentary when it was discussed that polygamy is not really prosecuted in Utah. They really focus on the secondary crimes. In the early seasons of Sister Wives, it was very important for Kody and the wives to separate themselves from Warren Jeffs and the FLDS. It's not surprising why. I mean, the show Sister Wives premiered in 2010. The El Dorado raid was in 2008, and Warren Jeffs was going on trial. He's leading the FLDS from prison. There's all these reports of child marriages. It's not a good look. So Kody, understandably, wants to put a lot of distance between himself and Warren Jeffs. And I will say, while this video is going to talk about some of the similarities that I see between Kody and other fundamental Mormon leaders, I am in no way saying that he is like Warren Jeffs. Kody Brown is not like Warren Jeffs. So there's basically three main similarities that are a pretty common theme among various fundamental factions that I see Kody espouse over the series of sister wives. So first, let's talk about favorite wives. This is a very common practice in polygamy. Now, Kody will always say he has no head wife, he has no favorite wife, but that, I mean, it's just obviously untrue. Turns out having a favorite wife, or if you have a ton of wives, having kind of a group, like a core group of favorite wives, is actually quite common. And on Sister Wives, it's glaringly obvious that Robin is Kody's favorite wife. And in some of these documentaries, like in Keep Sweet and Escaping Polygamy, the children that have escaped will often talk about the disparity in treatment that the children of the favorite wives versus maybe wives that have fallen out of favor receive. And we see that play out on the show as well. And I have mentioned this numerous times that I do not think Robin's goal is ever to be the only wife. I think what matters most to her is being the favorite wife. And I actually kind of think that that's shittier than her trying to be Kody's only wife, because she wants other women around to feel less than. She wants to keep Christine in. She wants to keep Mary in so that they can view her having a fully functional marriage. That's actually pretty crappy. The next common theme that I've noticed is this notion of lost boys. And I made a video during season 16 of Sister Wives about how I viewed Gabe and Garrison as being kind of the lost boys of Kody Brown, and I'll link that in the description of this video. So according to Wikipedia, lost boys is a term used for young men who have been excommunicated or pressured to leave polygamous Mormon fundamentalist groups such as the FLDS, although sometimes officially accused of apostasy or disobedience. It is thought that they are mainly pressured to leave by older adult men to reduce competition for wives within such sects. Usually they are between the ages of 13 and 21. Now, I do not think that Kody is disowning his sons because he views any of them as romantic competition, but I do think that this notion of disloyalty and disobedience is a very real threat for Kody. And honestly, while they're not romantic competition, I do think that they are a competition when it comes to being a priority for their mothers. Christine and Janelle have both flat out said, it's always my kids over Kody. And I think that that is part of what drives Kody to want to literally kick them out of the house. And then the third theme, of course, the name of the documentaries that have come out recently, this Keep Sweet notion. This is an emphasis on loyalty, submission, obedience, compliance. This is the notion that women, of course, should be submissive to their husbands. They should not be too emotional. They should always keep a pleasant disposition, things like that. If you go back, I see it posted on Reddit all the time, clips of Kody literally telling his daughters to keep sweet. He says that numerous times over the years. So this is a prevalent motto among Mormon fundamentalists. This isn't just specific to the FLDS. So keep sweet. This is a lifestyle that men of Mormon fundamentalism would love their women to adhere to. But especially the last 2 seasons of this show, Kody has railed, like his main talking point about his wives and his marital problems has been disloyalty, non-compliance, disobedience, non-submission. Like, this is the big, chip on his shoulder. And we see the wives who fall out of favor get treated quite poorly. No, he literally never sees Mary, and Mary is getting her own brand of revenge by just not leaving Kody. He, was only spending a couple hours a week at Christine's house, and Christine finally was like, oh, okay, bye. Like, you can move out then. These were just 3 themes that I really saw Kody acting similarly to Mormon fundamental leaders while I've been watching these documentaries and while I've been watching the show. So I just wanted to come on here. I thought this was a good topic to discuss for our first Bless This Mess video, because we know the Sister Wives doesn't get much messier. I mean, it does, but Sister Wives is quite messy.